Hey, how's it going, everyone? And welcome back to a new episode here with REC Net Roundtable Podcast. Today's episode is going to be a big one, and wow, am I so excited to dive right into it. On this episode, we're going to be talking about large-scale experiences and how we can take it from step one to an amazing experience that guests want to come back to year and year again. And to dive into this topic, our guest is the best perfect person for this specific topic, and I'm so excited to introduce her. Meghan, how are you?
Hi, Justin. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure, Meghan. Now, as we dive into this and as we go for any podcast, we really want to learn more about you first, right? So I had the chance to get to meet you, but our audience may not know who you are just yet.
I know, they
So
might not.
Talk to us a little about who you are and what you do.
All right, so hi everyone, I'm Meghan Hash. I'm the Director of Special Events and Entertainment here at Gaylord Palms. I've been in hospitality for 15 years. I have a degree in recreation from Radford University. Shout out Dr. Carroll. And I'm so excited to be here talking with Justin and the REC Net team.
Yes, oh wow, thank you very much. And we're equally as excited to have you on the show today. Now, to dive right into it, we really want to get to know more about what you do.
Yeah.
So can you give us a glimpse inside of your world?
Yeah, of course. So as I mentioned, I'm the Director of Special Events and Entertainment, and that encompasses overseeing the immersive experiences for our 65-acre property, Gaylord Palms, located here in Kissimmee, Florida.
Ooh, awesome. Now, that's a lot, right? You said it's so nice and subtle, but you have a big responsibility.
Huge.
And
I love it, though.
Oh, yeah. That's the exciting part, I like to say.
Yeah.
And with that big responsibility, there's a lot of high expectations, right? Whether
No
it's
pressure.
from your organization, but mainly also from your guests.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see that word expectation, it means a lot of different things to people.
Yeah.
So I want to get a better understanding of what that means to you.
Expectation is a word that's really thrown around a lot in the hospitality and experiences world.
Yes.
When guests come to property, they're not just here to, yes, they're here to vacation, but they're here to create lasting memories with their families. And what really sets that expectation and not only meets that expectation but exceeds that expectation is when we can immerse them into programming and activities and creative and really just hit the ball out of the park with really bringing things to life and helping to create those everlasting moments together as a family.
Oh, yeah. Very well said. Thank you very much for breaking that down for us. Now, as I know, and for our audience to know now, you lead a lot of large-scale events, right? And not only large-scale events, but you have programming year-round.
Yes.
And I want to break that down for our audience and for today's episode, starting off with the strategy behind it all, right?
Yeah.
More so, when we talk about strategy, the first question I would like to dissect is, in your opinion, what takes a good event, quote-unquote, and turns it into an unforgettable experience?
A good event to an unforgettable experience starts with listening to our guests.
Nice.
We are so grateful to be able to receive a ton of guest feedback, whether it's through guest satisfaction scores and those survey results, from front desk feedback, through social media or email. We receive it all. We take that all into consideration.
Nice.
Our guests are the heart of our experience, and we make those requests and dreams and expectations, and we bring them to life.
Oh, wow. That's so amazing to hear. You know, everyone talks about guest feedback, and a lot of leaders, especially leaders who are brand new to the industry, really have trouble navigating that feedback and working it with their teams on how can we take this feedback and run from it, right? Or run with it. So I love that that is at the forefront for you, as it is so important, and listening to our guests allows us to be able to create great experiences. Now, next question I have is more so when you are sitting down and saying, all right, we have the opportunity to plan a new big event, what's the first thing that comes to your mind in that planning period?
The first thing that comes to my mind when planning large-scale events is really the end in mind. What's the big picture? What's the goal? I like to use the analogy like when you're a hurdler, you're not looking at the first hurdle. You're not looking at the first hurdle in front of you or the second hurdle that you approach. You're really looking at the finish line, and you just have these obstacles in front of you that you need to cross. So looking at that big picture, identifying what that may be, and essentially kind of working backwards and filling in the blanks and things that you know that you need to complete to really bring your ideation and imagination to life.
Nice. Now, I really love that analogy. I'm definitely going to have to steal it from you and use it.
Were you a hurdler?
No, I was not.
I'll teach you.
Awesome. Now, speaking of hurdles, right?
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about some of your biggest obstacles or challenges that you've seen when navigating large-scale events.
Yeah, one of the biggest obstacles we see is really just keeping things fresh and new and exciting for our guests year after year. We have had our largest scale event, ICE, for years and years. However, it goes back to, again, listening to the guests, but not only listening to the guests, but our stars. So Gaylord, we reference our associates as stars because they are as such a star.
Yes.
And they are the heart of our operation. Without their feedback and constant suggestions on ways to implement or improve processes, we wouldn't get to where we need to be for our event at all.
Oh, yeah. Nice. I love that you referenced your team as stars.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they are, right? So that's great to hear. Now, more so on a sense of execution at scale.
Yes.
I want to touch base on how you strive to maintain that consistent feel year and year again while meeting the high standards as, for someone looking in from the outside, let's say they go to one of your large-scale events in December and they have such a great time and they're starting to plan their vacation for next year. Not only are they planning their vacation for a brand new year, but they're wanting that same exact experience more than likely.
Yeah.
So how do you keep the consistency alive?
Consistency is key.
Yes.
Once you meet this certain expectation with our guests, you want to continue building upon year after year with the consistency, and we are able to do that as a brand, honing in and utilizing the Above brand property, who has years and years of experience. They are our partners, overseeing production, creative, and really just helping us implement these quality measures to help things remain consistent and to the Gaylord quality we want to offer.
Oh, that is so well said. Thank you very much for sharing. Now,
my pleasure.
One thing that I love to talk about when we talk about consistency and just making sure everything stays to the standard is, in recreation, we love to be creative, right? So let's say you have this long-lasting event, meaning year and year again it comes about, but you still want to add innovation to it. So talk to us a little bit about your strategy on keeping things the same, quote unquote, while still being excited to innovate.
It all goes back to not only utilizing the above brand property for their expertise, but I'm going to take it back to even listening to the guests. Our guests provide valuable feedback on things that they would love to see. We take that really seriously and we take it to heart. And year over year, this is a year-round and really an 18-month planning process. So we are knee-deep in not only Christmas, but coming up on summer and how we can activate this programming for our property.
Yeah, nice. Very well said again. Now, one of my favorite questions to ask when we talk about just any topic is, when it comes to programming, there's a lot of risks that can be taken, right? And more so when it comes to programming a reoccurring event, the risk is even larger as we have those high expectations from our guests.
Yes.
So talk to us a little about a risk that you've taken when it comes to these large-scale events that maybe worked out in your favor or maybe didn't work out in your favor, and talk to us a little bit about it.
So it's funny you asked that because once upon a time, someone said, what if we took millions and millions of pounds of ice in a 9-degree environment and put it right here in Central Florida? So that was the risk that we took as a brand, as a property, and it worked so well that it's now become a family tradition and people come back year over year.
Yeah. And that's such a great example and so funny to think, for those Floridians, you would not expect to see an experience like here.
It's the coldest place in Florida.
Indeed.
9 degrees is colder than a lot of people think.
Oh, yeah. As a Floridian born and raised, I don't believe I've ever been inside of 9 degrees weather unless I'm here at ICE.
My blood has thinned over the last 15 years being in Florida.
Oh, I could imagine. Indeed. Now, on the topic of, keeping things the same for that consistent factor, there is also a time where we might need to keep the ball moving, right? And start fixing things up. Yes, there's the saying that we don't need to reinvent the wheel if it's going, but sometimes we need to start changing things up.
Yeah, of
so
course.
with you having the experience of, managing and overseeing these large scale events that have such high expectations and they happen year in, year again, how do you know it's time to start changing a few things up?
Yeah, that's a great question, Justin. So last year, for example, we had Superhero Summer in partnership with DC, and we executed with Superhero Academy shows. We had arts and crafts. We had pool activations in addition to a scavenger hunt.
Okay.
And the guest feedback was they loved it and they want to
wow.
see it more. So
Nice.
we're bringing it back bigger and better this
That's
year.
so exciting, yeah. And that kind of plays into the last question too about, taking risk. It's so important to give it a try and see what works, what doesn't work, but also monitoring that guest feedback is so essential
Yes.
for those types of risk. Now, we talked briefly on the risk and, just the execution overall when it comes to working these large scale events.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to go behind the scenes now, and I want to talk about the leadership and the culture of it all.
Yeah.
Right? So when it comes to getting your team aligned to not only execute at this high level, but also buy into the vision.
Yes.
How do you guys get that going before the season starts?
Oh, it starts well before the season
Yes.
with hiring high-level leaders that really understand and grasp the end goal and working towards that together and
Yes.
communicating that not only with our leaders, but to our stars. It really starts from the top down. So creating that clear communication on your expectations as a leader,
Yeah.
and then having it filter through to your leaders, your seasonal leaders, down to the stars. And in the end, we're all working together towards one goal, which is creating everlasting moments.
Oh, wow. Awesome. You are phenomenal, by the way. You're hitting it right on the point. And I love this. Our audience
thank you.
is
My
definitely going to have
ego.
such a good time. Now, when it comes to, getting the right people inside of the room to execute these events, it's so important for our viewership to understand what type of behaviors or characteristics you look for when hiring for large-scale events.
First and foremost, when I'm looking at anyone I'm interested in hiring, smiling. Smiling is a way that I not only look to guests for a measure of success, but I look for in a star as well as someone who's going to be engaging with our guests and go out of their way to discover and delight and create everlasting moments.
Yeah. Awesome. I like to say, in the world of recreation, you have to have some type of love for who we do it for,
Yes.
right? Which is our guests and all of the guests that come to these special events. So making sure that we don't have team members who are just here just to get by, but want to make that impact as anyone from the director to our brand new team member can have
They're not
such
trying
a
to
big
just
impact.
get a paycheck. They're here to really create those moments for our guests.
Yes.
And that's really what brings people year after year
Yeah.
back to the attraction.
Oh, nice. Now, when it comes to managing the team,
Yes.
obviously when there's a large scale event, more so a seasonal event,
Yes.
it can get a little repetitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
The start of the season is so exciting. We've been practicing, getting ready for this event, and maybe 3 weeks in, the team's like, okay, everything's the same on our end of operations, right? So how do you and your team keep the staff motivated to get through the season and have a good experience each and every shift?
The energy we bring to for the stars every day, and just making sure the stars have what they need from us, whether that's the communication happening across the resort, and then our guests have a level of expectation, but so do our stars. And I think clear and key communication is important to the success of the attraction.
Oh yes, indeed. Now, I want to kind of shift towards how do we improve events while they're happening.
Yeah.
Right? But not necessarily in the moment, just more so within the season, right? You talked a lot about the guest feedback, and
Yes.
that is so important to me. I love that you brought it up. So I want to dissect that a little bit more. How do you and the team really monitor that feedback? What does that process look like for you?
So we utilize the guest satisfaction surveys, and we take it to heart. It's extremely important to us. Everything that comes from guest satisfaction surveys, from emails to social media, it all makes its way to us somehow or another. We take that to heart and definitely into consideration on the guests let us know what they're loving and what they want to see returning year after year, and then maybe what we can implement. But not only the guests have that feedback, the stars have the feedback as well. They are the heartbeat of the operation, and they too, we value their feedback and their suggestions and potentially implement things that they're giving us.
Nice. Yeah. Now, next question I have is one of my favorites because it's a little deeper than the normal,
Yeah.
And why I say that is a lot of young leaders, they look towards attendance and revenue when they think about success.
Yes.
But as we all know, success can be measured in many different ways. So for you personally, how do you measure success that is beyond attendance and revenue?
You want to hear my cheesy answer?
Yes, please, go for it.
Good.
That's why we're here.
Okay, so I measure the level of success by looking at the guests' smiles. If the guests are smiling, especially when they get to the parka pit and they're putting on that Gaylord blue parka and they're gearing up to go inside the 9-degree environment, they know what's coming, or maybe they don't know what's coming,
Yes.
but they've been a part of the storytelling, the immersive experience from entering the door all the way through, and they're excited and happy, and that's how I measure the success of the event.
Oh yeah, I love that. That is not cheesy at all. That's exactly why we do what we do. And I can tell you, I have almost the same exact answer myself when I think about success. And I love to see it every time. Even when we had chaotic planning or a long time for strategic thinking, seeing those smiles really puts the
An
cherry
angry
on top.
guest is not going to be smiling. So,
Exactly, right?
yes.
There's no way.
And you might be hearing it, so yeah, smiling's important.
Indeed. Now, a question that is really important for me to ask for our audience is, why did you pick this profession? What made you say, you know what, I want to go into recreation and lead large-scale events?
You know what? That's a great question, Justin. So I have my degree in recreation, parks, and tourism from Radford University, and I worked for a hotel company for 13 years as the director of resort experience and a little here and there throughout the department and the discipline. And 2 years ago, I attempted, I said, let's see what the special events world is all about. And here I am, and I can truly say I love this job so much, and not just because of what I do, but because of whom I work with.
Yeah, that is so important, right? And I love that answer again. But my favorite question that I like to ask following up to this is, everyone has a why for why they want to join the industry.
Yes.
But talk to me a little bit about your why for why you stayed.
Because things don't stay the same, but they do stay the same. So you know what to expect, and you can hone in on your skill and use that as a strength to improve year over year.
Nice.
But no 2 days are the same. And
Oh,
that's
yeah,
why
indeed.
I think this discipline is honestly the best.
Yeah, I love that answer. I definitely say to my teams all the time, every day's a new adventure here. Right? It may be
Yes.
the same operation, the same opening and closing, but
And
it is indeed
activities,
a
yes.
new adventure every day.
Right.
Now, as we close out on your episode today, I want to continue picking your brain just a few more times. And more so, I want to talk about what is some advice you would give to a young professional who is on the verge of should they or should they not join the recreation industry?
Start with the end in mind. If you like the creative side, if you love storytelling, if you love immersive experience, themed entertainment world, this discipline is truly for you. And if you have big dreams, start with the end in mind and work backwards and really see your vision come to life.
Nice. I love that answer. You are on a roll. Now, the next question I have in mind is more back on the large scale. So to close out on the topic, what do you think are some trends that you're seeing within guest expectations that rec leaders should really hone into and focus on just that?
Yeah, that's another great question. So, of course, technology is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. However, as a millennial with kids myself, I do see more millennial and this generation leaning towards time together and shared experiences, and that you want the memory with your kids, and it can be digital, with your photo evidence to post online, but the experience itself is really what's important in the moment.
Oh, yes. I like to say in our world, experience is everything.
Yes, this
Now,
is true.
when it comes to large-scale events, we've been saying this over and over again.
Yeah.
Where do you think the future is when we talk about large-scale experiences? What does that future look like?
So the future for large-scale experiences, I don't know that there is a cap to it.
Yeah.
We have, large-scale experiences. We are in the theme park capital of the world, and, the sky's the limit on
Indeed.
what can happen. So I think we're in a really cool discipline where things are always working behind the scenes for us.
Oh, yes.
And I'm excited for that.
Indeed. And I love that answer. And I know our audience is going to say, Justin says he loves all of her answers, but you've been on a roll because that's why I love the industry. You know, every day's a new adventure, as we stated, but also the future is so bright. We don't know what adventure is going to come our way, and that's the cool part, that we get to love the chaos and be a part of each and every day.
So it keeps us on our toes.
Yeah, now, when it comes to any advice that you would like to give to maybe a current professional, an emerging professional, or even a student that just wants to learn more about recreation, what would that piece of advice be?
Don't be afraid to take risks. Put yourself out there, take risk.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen? Someone saying no, and, own it and be yourself.
Awesome, yeah. Well, Meghan, today has been such an honor to sit with you and talk about large-scale experiences while also getting a chance to know you some more. I know our audience is going to have an absolute blast with this episode. And the last question I have for you is, if someone wants to learn more and maybe reach out to you directly, how could they best reach you?
Yeah, you can reach me at Meghan, MEGHAN # like a hash brown, at GaylordHotels.com, or I'm available on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Well, Meghan, thank you very much. It was such a pleasure talking.
Justin, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Indeed. Woohoo!